Lammy semi-rolled back on it. He went further than Starmer, and then he went and rolled back on it. See if I can find it. And it's not actually very useful the way I need it. We need Jamie. Where's Jamie? It's not actually very easy to find on here because none of them say Lammy. I'm looking at all these tabs. Oh, there we go. So we got it. So let's look at what he said and then his roll back.
Is Nigel Farage a racist?
I answered your question. I'm not going to play the man. I'm playing the ball as our leader did. I will leave it for the public to come to their own judgments about someone who once flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger. That is for the public, but we will be...
That's weirdly quiet, but he said who flirted with Hitler Youth when he was younger. So he accuses Farage of flirting with Hitler Youth.
Up to 27 minutes later.
Yeah. It's like, can you clarify, please?
They also suggested that Nigel Farage had flirted with Hitler Youth. Now, the party have said that's totally untrue, that that's libelous, contemptuous. What did you mean by that?
I think there were some articles circling around from a teacher, but I wasn't at school with Nigel Farage. I don't know what songs he sang at school, so I'm happy.
You have no evidence for that suggestion.
I'm happy to clarify. I did say it's for the public to make up their mind, and I did also emphasise that let us play the ball, not the man. So it's not my intention to play the man, Nigel Farage. In fact, I did a show with Nigel Farage and LBC a few years ago. Let us concentrate on the ball, the policy, which is the deportation policy, his policies on the NHS, which I think is to charge, and his policies on lowering tax cuts, which would lead to the bond market, not the man.
To be totally clear, you're pulling back from that comment that you made.
He has denied it. And so I accept that he has denied it, and I would like to clarify that position because in the end, the Prime Minister was keen for us to focus on the policies, not the individual.
What a bizarre claim that he's been playing the ball, not the man. He played the man about as much as you could possibly play.
There wasn't even the ball involved.
There was no ball. The ball was out of play. Your studs were about his chest level. It was a Cantona. It was Cantona's flying kick on the supporter. That's how much he played the ball. There was no ball involved. Unbelievable. And then his complete rollback of it. And I wasn't at school with him. I don't know. What are you talking about? And then what was that bizarre thing he said? I was going to comment on. He doesn't know whether he's part of Hitler Youth. He's just throwing it out there.
The accusation is around letters that he wrote to a teacher or a letter written to a teacher at Dulwich when he was a kid, expressing some concern that maybe... Nigel Farage had been indulging in some Hitler Youth type singing, all denied. And
there's stuff in the quick biography as well that Farage, made off-color jokes as a kid and who didn't. But the thing I've just remembered is Lammy says there. And by the way, I did a show with Nigel Farage. Now it's like, why are you doing a show with Hitler Youth? Make up your mind, Lammy. What a ridiculous backpedal. It's like, is he Hitler or is he like your mate from LBC? It's all over the place.
Also, the line, I did say, it's for the public to make their mind up. Yeah, the public to make their mind up about something libelous that you just said. Here's something really bad about someone that I'm not sure about. I've just made it up, but it's up to you to decide whether you just implanted the seed has been sown by the man who's saying, I didn't say it. So
that was actually Trump level almost in a really bad way. It was like, when Trump's at least Trump's funny. It was like, I'm not going to say I could say it. Many people say she's become incredibly fat. I'm not going to say it. It's that kind of thing. People say he lies and he smells. I'm not going to say it. I won't say it. I could say he has sex with horses, but I'm not going to say it. We can't say it. But then Lammy's a crap version of that.
That's exactly what Lammy Lamb Chops did, just in like a sort of Timu version of Trump.
Should we have a look at a more sensible bloke, which is Lord Glasman? I know this has just become a clip show now, Paul, and you just sit there. I've over-prepared again. But old Glasman. So Glasman's actually sensible because he's part of Blue Labour. And Blue Labour is sensible. Blue Labour's idea is they are sort of socialist and perhaps a bit far left, but the idea of regulating the free market, which has gone out of control and not really helped people, and then being socially conservative, this is a perfectly legitimate idea. SDP, Blue Labour, quite a normal idea. He's too normal for Labour now. And let's just see what he says.
I'm very proud to be Labour, and I'm very ashamed about the accusation of calling you a racist. I am going around this conference and I'll be writing articles absolutely disputing that. I know, Nigel, that you are not a racist. I know that you spend a huge amount of your time expelling racists from reform. So please accept my personal apology, not from the party, but from me. And I'm honoured to be on GB News. I'm honoured, actually, to think of you as a friend. So that's a disgrace to me as well.
Labour pick.
There you go. By the way, the worst thing about Farage is he's not racist enough. Can we haven't focused on that enough, guys? who's coming in with that angle? Can I just say, I want to see someone come out with that. Can I just say, Farage is not racist enough for me, and that's been no one's going to go with that. You'll get that on this podcast, of course, but we can say it because Paul's black, so it's all covered.
You can
by
say
that.
it for that very reason.
So that's nice to get a sensible Lord Glasman. Unfortunately, he doesn't have much sway, I guess, in the party, but it is a bit embarrassing, isn't it, when someone like that he is a Labour guy. He's a peer.
Well, he's the traditional Labour guy, voter, man, woman, child, whatever. There aren't any hopefully there's not any children.
Will be children if Starmer gets 16-year-olds to vote. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's going to backfire because I've seen stats showing that they're actually going to vote Reform now. Anyway.
Yeah, well, this is the point, isn't it? Because they have moved across. These people have moved across. This guy here, Glasman, he's never moved. He's had to create his own sect within the Labour Party and call it Blue Labour, so it's slightly close to Reform, just so he can stay within the Labour Party. And that tells you mostly what you need to know about this movement, and that's that Labour have gone so far champagne socialist, so far to the left in some social politics that most Labour voters now don't really know what they stand for, and they don't really see much talk of the common man, the working woman, dealing with the problems of the day, which just happen to be societal and immigration related. And Reform and Nigel Farage are picking that baton up and running with it handsomely at the moment. And I said this last night on GB. I said to Jonathan Liss, who was on opposite me, obviously, a well-meaning, totally normal lefty, and I said, "Look, tell me, Jonathan, what today made anyone want to vote Labour?" And he said it did nothing for. He said it did nothing for that. It's not moved the dial at all. He isn't even converting his own choir anymore. Starmer's days are numbered, and saying all this nonsense about racism and bigotry and leaning into that is just, it's gone. It holds no political sway anymore.
Yeah, and I'd like to say let's get on to the substance, but there really wasn't that much substance. I mean, there's stuff about working class, this and that, vague things about that, renewal. He keeps on about renewal, but
reclaiming the flag. I mean, the other thing in Keir Starmer's speech, reclaiming the flag from who to do what?
That just means that we've won by making the flag a thing that they have to get in line with. The Overton window shifted, so now they've got to wave flag. They're all there waving Union Jacks. The whole thing is wave the flag, and it's like you've just capitulated. You're on our territory, and you're on certainly Reform's territory, and you're on about renewal.
Those flags. They were forced to wave those.
They're forced to wave the flag.
To stand up. They're forced to clap.
Yeah, but that shows because the right is winning on patriotism and on immigration, and also this renewal thing he was on about. That's Kemi's slogan. Renewal 2030 is literally Kemi's.
Kemi must be watching this. I mean, this was the third Reform conference in a row. We had the Reform conference, then the Lib Dem Reform conference, and now the Labour Reform conference. So, Kemi, I hope you're watching. And anyone who's writing speeches for the Conservative conference, try and make it about the Conservative Party. That would be my advice. Because if you want to appeal to anybody, you're going to have to say, why you instead of them? Can't just keep talking about them. So far, we have no idea what Ed Davey stands for, other than, he's a Wally at best. Keir Starmer has no strategy whatsoever and has resorted to attacking Nigel Farage on a libelous personal level. So I don't know quite what Kemi Badenoch's going to do, but we don't understand what any of these parties would do to stop Reform, other than tell everybody who's listening that they're bad, and no one cares anymore because the bad people are telling us that they're the bad people over there. These people are nuts.
I know what Kemi will do. She'll talk about policies she might do in 4 to 6 years.
No, I wasn't going to hear it just yet.
While she slides into the 4th place and just the last whimpering, dying breath of the Tories just said, we can't be hasty. People hate us. We're going to take our time. We're a serious party. We're not Nigel Farage, and we might leave the ECHR in 2017. That's what she'll say. But
And the maddest thing that was said yesterday, Keir Starmer said that Nigel Farage doesn't support Britain. Now, he tried to make out that he's never said anything positive about Britain. And it's just like, what are you talking about? The whole of his manifesto is about making Britain great again. That's the whole point of his manifesto. Now, what Keir Starmer really wants to say is he's saying, Nigel Farage is promoting a Britain we don't want. That's what he's saying. That's all he's saying. Unfortunately for him, there are millions of people out there, including within his own party, that actually quite like the vision that Nigel Farage is putting forward. So because he's got no strategy, no philosophy, there's only one way, and that's out the door for him.